Well, hello again on this Monday. It is January 6th, 2025. Yay! And Frito's fixing to bark because I think I heard Amazon in the driveway. So if we get an alert, I will let you guys know. So great to see everybody here in the chat. We are on week 4 of the Brightly Sampler Quilt Along. Oh, yeah. Hold on just one second. Oh, no, she's coming in. So I got a friend of mine here. Okay. Good morning. I'm on a live. Okay. So hi again. Yeah, it's great to see you guys here. Thank you so much for joining me. So right behind me, I have got a block of the companion quilt that I made last week. So last week was week 3, and we made, let me get these in here and I'll zoom in just a little bit so you can see them a little bit better. So we have the album mosaic block. And here is the happy dance. And you saw last week, it took me 3 tries to get the happy dance going. However, I did the next one. I assembled it a little bit differently, and I'll show you the next time we do the happy dance how I did that. But briefly, what I did was I assembled each row, and then I did the next row and the third and the fourth, and then I just sewed the rows together. That went a lot better for me than trying to assemble them in the 4 squares that the pattern said. So once you get to where you're doing quilting quite a bit, you can look at things and go, I think I can do that a little bit different. So assembly can be different on some blocks. So great to see everybody here this morning. Hi. If you're new and just joining us, pop into the chat and let me know. Say, hi, I'm new. It goes by pretty quick. If I miss you, there are members of our Situation Room Sunshine Committee here, and they will give you a big virtual hug and welcome you, or let me know in the comments below the video, and I will be sure later on to give you a special hi and welcome. So it's great to do here. Now, so Debbie wants to know, how do I know what fabrics to use? She got lost on the first video of this quilt along. Debbie, I frequently say, I don't have an original thought in my head. Okay. And I'm not good at choosing fabrics. So the baseline for the fabric choice was the line of fabric that was going to be used by the designer. And that line was Laguna Sunrise by Sherry and Chelsea. That is their pattern. Okay. That's their line of fabric, Sherry and Chelsea. This is their book. Okay. So the blocks in this book use the Laguna Sunrise. I wanted to use the Strawberry Lemonade, and we have a Facebook group, and a lady in our Facebook group made the quilt. Shirley Scott made the quilt using the Strawberry Lemonade line and put a picture of it. How's it go? I got it sideways here. She put a picture of it on our Facebook group. Oh, you have the quilt kit from Fat Quarter Shop. Okay. So one of the things that I do, like for the companion quilt, okay, and I'm doing the exact same thing right now with the Vintage Christmas from Lori Holt, that sew along as well. I don't have the exact fabric line that they want me to use or that they're using. So what I do is, Joyce is going to be listening while she walks. Good for you. That's perfect. So what I do is I'll go, okay, so she used, in this block right here, she used a deep aqua for the center, a large floral print on that corner block, a large floral print or a medium floral print. Then she used a peach for the outline. And then, of course, white is the background fabric. So that's what I did. Okay. Now, because I have the same Fat Quarter bundle that she did, I could blow this up and take a look and see what fabric she was using. But that's what I did right here. Was I chose a dark aqua. So I looked for a dark aqua in my fabric. Okay. And then the floral. Now I'm using a different floral than she did, but that's okay. And then the peach and the white. So I'm doing the same thing on the vintage Christmas blocks. So for instance, the vintage Christmas candy canes, I don't have the red and pink fabric that they wanted me to use. So I chose red and pink fabric, red and pink fabric that I had on hand from Lori Holt, because the value of all of Lori's fabrics, they all jive together. So that's kind of the way I do it, is I look for a like fabric and make that work. Okay. You can also look, if you're using the Laguna Sunrise, which is the kit, you can look on Sherry and Chelsea's website. It's called quiltinglife.com. Now they're doing them once a month. I'm doing mine once a week, but they will have, they're going to show in a video or a blog post the fabrics that they used. So there's a lot of resources out there from the designer's blog or website or YouTube channel or whatever you want. Okay. So you can kind of poke around on the internet and look and see, oh, you're going to use Seashore Drive. Sally, I bet that's beautiful. That's going to be really, really pretty. Hi, Nancy. Hey, neighbor. So for this particular block and some of the other ones, I kind of haven't covered this before, but I will. Today, we're going to making Kaleidoscope. And Kaleidoscope looks a lot like the album Mosaic. So the center of the block is the same. We have the same square in the middle. And we've got, this is called a square in a square block. So we have a square here, and we have another square inside of it on point. So this is a square and a square, just this middle part. So this is what we're going to be making. You can see it's the same thing. It's a square in a square, okay? Although instead of these out here, what we're using, we're going to have flying geese unit. There's 4 flying geese units. Pretty sure that's how are they making them with flying geese? They are. Okay. So we're going to have 4 flying geese units, and the corners are going to be 4 half square triangles instead of plain. So for the companion quilt Mac, I am using Farmstead by Stacy East Shoe for Moda. Okay. So I'll show that one in our situation room, but this one here, this is for the Brightly sampler. You have Farmstead also. So Dana, these smaller blocks right here, I chose larger prints. I chose the larger, you really can't see what's what, and it worked out fine. So I'm going to take off my little hoodie here. It was warm. Okay. Okay. Oh my goodness. You used Woodland and Wildflowers, Sandra. I bet that's beautiful. Fancy that house design. I love their fabrics. Love their fabrics. Okay. Yeah, you can also, Sandra used EQ to help her, electric quilt to help her do that. There is a way, you can look on YouTube for a way to download thumbnails of the fabrics from a particular line on the designer's website, and then import those into electric quilt and build your quilt yourself. So that's kind of cool. That way you can have an idea. So Susan, this is your first time in the live. Welcome. Nice to meet you. Glad you are here. You guys from the Sunshine Committee, you're wandering around in the back with your coffee. Okay. Give Susan a big hug. We are in the same room as the situation room. So there is a virtual kitchen. Wander over, get some coffee or some juice or something. And there are also M&Ms if you want to be stitching. I have gotten away from the chocolate. Do I still have it here? My preferred sweet of choice at the machine, because I'm on a diet, are Tic Tacs. They're wonderful. All right. So one of the things that you're going to need for this particular block is it'll tell you you need to square a block up to 3.5. So there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can use a 3.5-inch square up ruler. This one is from Creative Notions Quilt Shop. And I sprayed some grippy spray on the back. So it has kind of a texture now. I sprayed it on here months ago and it works fine. And it stays permanent. This used to be clear and now it's kind of opaque because it's got grippy on the back. It's by Odif and it's a spray. So it gives feels like fabric almost, but it keeps your ruler from scooching around on your fabric. So you're going to want a 3.5-inch square, or You can use a smaller ruler that's got a 1/2 inch, okay, edge on it. This is from Sew Tights. I have a coupon below for Sew Tights products that these are little magnets. The little metal circles in there are magnets, okay? And I will be using the Sew Tights rotary mat and using this ruler on it as well. So if you are not subscribed to the channel, you guys, please subscribe. When we reach 80,000 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away a Sew Tights rotary mat and the 6.5 inch magnetic ruler when we hit 80,000 subscribers. Okay. And I can see who's a subscriber on the channel. All right. And you have to be a subscriber to win. So if you're not sure if you're subscribed, below the video, there's a black circle or something and it says subscribe. And if it's in black, you're not a subscriber. If it's grayed out, you are. So you have to be a subscriber to win. And this ruler and rotary mat are coming from the benefactor of my channel, Lady M. So she gave that to me to give to you. We're almost at 78,000. Y'all, this is expensive. These are an investment. Well worth it. I love it. Watch. How about that? Fan-stinkin-tastic. It doesn't move around on you, and that's what I want. So you will love that. Is there a schedule you can find when these extra happen? Well, Connie, I'm doing these every Monday at 9. And yes, thank you for asking. You can go to my blog, powertoolswiththread.com, and in the search box, type Brightly Sampler. And on that blog post, you will find a schedule. We have a schedule, and it tells you what block we're doing, on what date. And you can see the block location in the quilt, if you want to make it like this, which is column 1, row 1, column 4, and so on down. And then it tells you the page in the book that you will find it. We have a couple of times I will not be available on a Monday, and I have written that down too. So like on the 20th, it says album mosaic block, which is this one right here. We already did it. So you can watch the old album mosaic video. It says no live show. I'm going to be in California at the Road to California Quilt Show that day. All right. So lots of cool stuff going on here. So just for my quilting buddies. All righty. Sounds good. We're ready to get going. Okay. Let me move this out of here. Put this. So, oh, y'all, my nose itches. A week ago today, I had Mohs surgery on my nose, and it is healing. And it has a little skin graft from behind my ear, and it itches. Ah! I also have a good rotary cutter here. And if you are interested in getting any Sew Tights thingies, I have a link below to Sew Tights with a coupon for 15% off. So whether you're getting, the little magnets that you want to use on other things, maybe you do hand paper piecing and they have those, whatever you want to do. Okay. So let's take a look at the book. And the first thing we're going to do is make our square in a square block. So we have to take the main block square fabric. Okay. And we're going to put that, I'm going to put this down where you can see what I'm doing. Do I have a design board down here? I don't think I do. Okay. So we're going to take the main square block fabric. All right. And then we need the alternate colors. Let me make sure I've got all these set out where I need to do what I'm doing here. What am I doing here? My piecing instructions, right? So the main square, the center is a big one. Why is that the wrong size? Let's see here. That's too small. Yeah, I think this is the size I'm going to use, and it's too big. It's way too big. Yep. Let me see. I didn't trim it properly. Okay. Let me turn this on. Y'all, that happens. You're also going to want some kind of a rotary cutting mat. That's very handy. You're going to need to do that. Prairie Home's going to be fun in March, Libby. That's going to be a lot of fun. I just didn't trim this. Okay. And if you're using a directional fabric like this, pay attention to that. That might matter to you. All right. I'm trying to figure out what colors I thought I was using here. It's crazy the way things move around. I'm going to have to look at this block, and I need to trim this up. Oh, yeah. What was I doing? So that's the right. And this one is too long. Yeah. Okay. I need to take 1/2 inch off of this is what I need to do. Okay. And that's all right. Long ruler. Is this long enough? Yeah. I need to take 1/2 inch off of this. My head's all discombobulated. My brain. All right. I need to iron this. That's my big problem. Y'all, this is a tip. Be sure to iron your fabrics. You don't think so, but there's space in those bends. There is space. Okay. So you want to get those flat so that they your block is going to be the right size when you press it out. So those bends can take up space. Not quite turn of cloth, but just enough that it'll be a problem. All right, so this, I need to take a 1/2 inch off. I'm going to put this, turn this way, put it here. Okay. And get my ruler just right. Get my glasses on here. There we go. Okay. Now I'm good. Okay. So here's our center. And we need to make a square in a square. And that is these smaller pieces. These are, let's see, corner and center print, right? Is that correct? Let me double check. Okay. So these are letter D, fabric letter D. All right. So this is fabric letter F. And these are fabric letter D. You want a contrasting color. Okay. Now I need to mark a diagonal line on the back of these. Let me see. I need to get all this out of the way. Space, space, space. And just like we do, I have a video directly below in the description box. It says more ... underneath the video. If you're watching on a TV, you can hit the channel up button for a thumbs up. I appreciate that. So I'm going to hold this and I'm start in the middle and kind of scooch it out. I'm drawing a line. The ruler is corner to corner. The line is right next to corner to corner. And the piece that's hanging out from underneath, I'm going to put a little mark on it. I'm going to do that to all 4 pieces. Yeah, for those videos where we're doing a block and I'm not here, you can watch the block from the previous week or the previous time we did it, because I'm only doing a block a week. Some of you will get this, you'll do one, and then you will, you'll do another one right after it. Okay. I said in an earlier show not to use steam when pressing fabric. What do I do with the fold when cutting with the fabric? I don't mess with it. I leave the bolt fold right there. If I have to press that out to use that bit of fabric later on, like in a binding or something like that, I will. I just leave the bolt fold intact. I don't even fiddle with it. Half the time that ends up being unused, or it goes in a scrap basket or something. Great question. Thank you. Okay. You didn't see the link for the sew tights? Okay. I'll make sure it's there when we get done. They're on all my others. It might be down in the discounts. Not there? Okay. I will put it there as soon as we are finished if it's not. All righty. So now what you want to do, we always talk about this, maintain the integrity of the base shape. So the piece with the mark, that's the little mark I put on there. That's the one that where's it at? Here it is. There's the mark right by the underneath that pink flower. Okay. I'm going to put that corner toward the outside. Now, why am I doing that? You guys, we have this talk every week. Because the ruler is corner to corner, the line is not. The line is right next to corner to corner. The side that has the mark on it was the side that was hanging out from underneath the ruler. So this triangle is actually smaller than this triangle. Between the two triangles, this one is smaller because the ruler was corner to corner. What do I do with my ruler? All right. So that means I'm going to sew on the line. And when I sew on the line, I'm sewing just off. Okay. So if the ruler's corner to corner, the line is not. The line is right next to it. You guys, this video series is geared toward beginner quilters. Oh, thank you. Quilt Wench, I appreciate that. Sew Tights is under Shop My Affiliates. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's how I fund the channel, you guys. I make a small commission at no cost to you. So if the ruler's corner to corner, the line is not. So when you sew on the line, you are actually sewing a scant. Don't use a scant 1/4 inch. That's not what I'm talking about. You're actually sewing just a hair off center. And that hair off center, you can fold. That gives you the room to fold this over, and it will meet and exactly match the corner up here, which is what you're looking for. Okay. That little bit of room in the fold is called turn of cloth in the garment sewing world. All right. So I'm going to turn this around. If I put the bigger one out here, this is why you make the mark. If I put the bigger one out here, and because the line is on this side and I sew on the line, it's going to be short and it won't fit, and I'll be tugging and torquing the block in order to get it to move. So, well, crafting, you're okay. Yeah, it's for beginners. You can join it. That's fine. You can go back and watch the replay. You can start again because I'm glad you brought that up, Shay Shay. I'm glad you brought that up. All right. So here's the deal. These 3 blocks, the block that I'm doing right now, these are used 5 times in this quilt. They're used 5 times. So we're going to make 5 of these. No, that's a lie. We're going to make 4 of these, 4 of these, and 4 of these, and 4 of the one I'm working on right now. So if you want to start, you can do that. Okay. You can go ahead and start. And then on one of the off weeks, you can make another block. Okay. So you're not behind. We really just started this. So you're doing good. All right. So let me turn this a little bit here. Guys, I want you to be able to see my little table that I'm working on. Okay. So now let's take a look. Get this out of the way. So now I've got the piece with the mark to the outside. Okay. All my stuff, y'all. Oh my goodness. Here's the mark. Piece with the mark to the outside. I am going to make sure before I sew this, I cannot see the lighter color fabric from the back, and I cannot see the darker color fabric from the front. All right. You want to make sure that your corners are exactly on the edges of the block. This is called maintaining the integrity of the base shape. You need to get that in your head and say it over and over and over. Maintain the integrity of the base shape, which means when I get finished sewing and ironing and folding and all of that, this should still be the exact same shape as it is now. It's just different colors of fabric. Maintain the integrity of the base shape. This is crucial. It's a crucial skill, basic skill to learn in quilting. So I'm stitching now on the line. Okay. Keep that in your, well, turn your machine on, Becky. Okay. Right. There we go. So I finished sewing it. You cannot see the light green from the back, and you cannot see the dark green from the front. Nice. It's in your head. It pops in all the time while you're stitching, Margie says. Good. How you doing, Margie? Good to see you in here. So now, because I sewed on the line, and the line was not corner to corner, it was right next to corner, and I've got the bigger piece over here, the bigger triangle, I have room to fold this over and have it meet exactly. Okay, so I'm going to put it exactly on there. And I'm going to crease this with my thumb, or you might have a seam press or something like that, whatever you want. And the reason I do this ahead of time, all right, is so that the fabric knows where I want it to go before I iron. Now that I have told the fabric where I want it to go, okay, now I can iron. Now I have a seam roll. Okay, let me put this down here. And I'm holding on to my point so it doesn't scooch around. All right. And I'm going to just hold this, and now I'm going to press this on my seam roll. There is magic that occurs between the natural fiber of the seam roll. Again, this is below in the section around my sewing room. And then the natural fibers in the fabric and the natural content of the wood clapper. And you get the prettiest little flat seam, almost as if they were pressed open. Okay. So I'm going to do that again. All right. So now on this second one that we're going to do, you're going to do the opposite corner of the base shape block. You're going to do the opposite corner. Don't do it right next to it. You don't want to do that. And the book shows you do the opposite corner. We're going to do that again. I've got my fabric lined up exactly where I want it. Okay. And if it's off a couple of threads, y'all, don't kill yourself over that. Do your best. You'll get better and better and better. The piece with the mark is pointing toward the outside corner. A little bit off on my line. I don't know that that's going to be that big of a deal. And I'm going to fold this over so it matches exactly. And I'm going to crease it with my fingers. Okay. That looks good. And now that it knows where I want it to be, okay, I'm going to press it. Okay. Hold it. Don't cut before you press. I don't know how Pat Sloan and Lori Holt cut before they press, but they're better quilters than I am. Okay, so here we go. Now we're ready to cut. You have to cut first, okay, before you do the next two. So all I'm going to do is pick this up. You can use scissors if you want to freehand it like this, approximately a 1/4 inch seam. It doesn't have to be exact, okay? It doesn't even have to be straight. There's that. Or if you want, you can do the little rotary cutter and mat. If you want to use a ruler, you can. You know, it just is how picky you want to be about it. I don't care for the, you know, if the seam's not exactly a 1/4 inch, I don't care. I can freehand it, whatever you want to do. Okay, perfect. So there we go. Half done with the inner block. Or your trimmer by George. You can. I would not use the trimmer by George. No, Joanne, on second thought, I would not. The trimmer by George is going to give you too close of a cut to the stitching. I would not. You need a full 1/4 inch seam. You could use the outside of the trimmer by George, not the metal edge. Yeah, just use a ruler if you want. So now that I've got these cut, I want to show you. So we've maintained the integrity of the base shape. It's still the same size as they said to cut fabric F. Okay, but it's just two different fabrics now. All right, and now, so you want to make sure on this, Again, you've got part with the mark to the outside, okay? And you want to make sure that you're covering this first triangle just a little bit. You need that 1/4 inch seam that's going to be created when those edges cross, okay? So I'm just going to stitch on the line. You guys, with this method, you will get so good. It just makes so much sense when you start doing it. This was never explained to me. And if I hadn't been a garment seamstress, I don't know that I'd have figured it out. Okay. Now I'm going to fold it over so the points match exactly. Maintain the integrity of the base shape. And when I fold it, there are my 1/4 inch seams here and here. And they're good. I can see that. Okay. Yeah, the ironing presser bar and clapper, Ray at Gray Rooster. He's amazing. I have a link below for that. Ray is fantastic. I'm keeping him in business, I'm sure. He has the baby clapper, which is this one, which is what I use on this ironing station. And then I have the full-size one over on my big ironing board. Okay. And the next one. So here's our square and a square. And I'm going to put the corners right on the edge of the fabric, point to point, exactly where it goes. Stitch on the line and make sure that the little mark is to the outside of the square. That's the piece I'm going to cut off. Whoops, sorry about that, y'all. I didn't have that camera switched. My apologies. All right. And once again, fold it over. Have it meet exactly. See how I'm not having to tug? I'm not tugging. I'm not going to the side. It meets exactly. If you're an embroiderer and you've always wondered about quilting, these are the tricks that work. I would discourage, I was having a chat. Why does my machine bed look like the light isn't on? I don't know. I can put a brighter light down there. Look at that. I was having a chat yesterday with my quilty buddy, Lisa. She's a phenomenal quilter. That's Betty Boop in our chat if she pops in. And she mentioned that she is using, she's making a companion quilt with another one she's doing using batiks. I would discourage using batiks if you're just starting. Batiks do not stretch. So unless you're right on, you might find it a little bit difficult. Okay, so now I'm going to cut my 1/4 inch seam on these. Okay, so when we started, letter F fabric was the size that it says in the book, 6.5, okay? And when I put it down here on the measurement on my table, it is still 6.5. And it is straight, still 6.5. Here's my 6.5 inch square ruler. If you feel the need to trim up, you can. However, you need to make sure that your 1/4 inch seams are maintained at these points. Make sure your 1/4 inch seam is maintained. Okay. So it looks like I got a few threads out here, right, on these sides. Does it say to square it? Make one. Square and a square should measure 6.5. Okay. So I just need to make sure if I trim this that I still have that 1/4 inch seam. There's a there. And sometimes you gotta, you know, kind of make it work. Whatever ruler you start out with, make sure that's the ruler you use for the rest of your quilt. I generally don't do this, you guys. I generally don't. I generally leave it. If I've got a few threads, I'm usually okay with that. All right. I am gonna trim up this side just a little bit here. Okay. So because, you know, it's not computer perfect 6.5-inch square, that's okay. You can make this work. It's not a problem. But I like this. This is fine. Okay. So there's our square and a square. All right. Okay. So, alrighty. Now we need to make our flying geese units. There's that quilt ruler. There it is. Time for a drink of coffee. All right. You guys doing okay? Sorry for the quick move there. What size ruler is it? So Tammy, this is a 6.5-inch square. Whatever ruler you start with is the ruler you want to finish with, usually. Okay. Make sure I'm not missing anything here with you guys. Okay. All righty. So let's start making our flying geese units. So a flying geese unit is a rectangle with two squares that are cut into triangles, and it looks like the V of geese as they fly through the air. Each unit is called a geese unit. You will see them referred to as that in quilt pattern books. All right, so let's do this. My fabric, let's see. Fabric E squares, rectangles, fabric E rectangles, got 4 of them. Okay, I'm going to press out my little bend that's on here. And I think these are, why do they look too big? My goodness, they look too big. And these are using the exact same concepts that we just used in the square and a square. Okay, draw a line on the back of fabrics. Rulers corner to corner, so the line is not. Yeah, I do need these. Okay. So now I need these squares, right? I need my fabric B squares. Okay. Alrighty. Hi, Pam. Thanks for joining us, sweetheart. Glad you're here. Okay, so we finished our square and a square. That's the middle part of the block. And what we're going to do now is make some flying geese. Okay. So I need to take all of my fabric D squares, and this is a white on white. So I'm going to make sure I've got the back up toward me. Okay. Guido just popped through. We've got 8 of these, I think. Right? Yep. All right. I'm going to use my little ruler again. So, okay. Rulers corner to corner. I'm using a friction fine liner marker, and I'm putting a little mark to the outside. That's the shorter triangle of the two. Okay. And do this to all 8 of them. If you did not pop in the situation room, we have got all kinds of quilt-alongs going in the situation room. Most of them I'm doing with Fat Quarter Shop. I also announced this morning, if you're an embroiderer and you want to join us, or you're new to embroidery, I'm going to, what did I do with that paper? I showed this morning. I have a link to it below this morning's video. What did I do with that? I don't know where it went. We're going to do a Designs by Juju Valentine little mini quilt on Embroidery Thursday. So I need to put that link below this video as well. It'll also be below tomorrow's Situation Room video. It's a super cute little pattern she just released. Okay. So that'll be fun. Take a look at the pattern, get used to that, and get your fabrics ready. I won't be doing any snap-a-que. It's just straight embroidery. That's going to be a good one. I text her. I said, oh, this is so cute. I hope you have one for every month. Yes, crafting with Shay Shay. She said, I just ordered this. I can do this. That doesn't look that hard at all. It's not. Once your analytic side of your brain kicks in and goes, that's easy. I can sew on a line. I just got to know where to make the line. Good for you. Are you out of focus? I'm sorry. You going to be using the locking ruler? Tell me, what is that? The magnetic one? This one's not magnetic. This is a Creative Grids. Okay. All right. One more. Okay. So creating flying geese is exactly just like we did making a square and a square. Exact same thing. Lining it up, maintain the integrity of the base shape, and put the part with the mark to the outside. I'm going to line these up just like this. And I'm going to do assembly line sewing now. Let me hang this back here. Okay. So on the line, next one. Let me do this. So to the outside, put the part with the mark to the outside. Yeah, this morning I showed a couple of blocks that I'm doing for Vintage Christmas by Lori Holt with the Fat Quarter Shop. And let me tell you, this process, where are they? I'll show you guys if you weren't here this morning. These are 6-inch blocks. These are dinky, dinky, dinky. Okay. Very, very tiny blocks. This is exactly what I'm doing right here. Okay. Draw a line corner to corner, put a little mark on the outside on the smaller one, maintain the integrity of the base shape, sew, press, cut. These little blocks right here around the body and the head, y'all, those are 3/4 inch squares. You want to talk about tiny, holy moly. And then here are my candy canes. 4 blocks per month. That's what I'm doing with them. So that's kind of cute. You know, because I just don't have anything to do, right? I figure if I sit behind the sewing machine, it keeps me out of trouble, sort of. Whoop. Okay. Very good. Oh, that's not right. I don't want to see any white or green fabric. You need to match the edges exactly. Hold on a second here. And the last one. One of the things I love about this is the Brother PQ 1500. One of the things I love about this machine, you never see my fabric get pulled down in. You just can't because it's only got that tiny little needle hole. Okay. I'm going to get up and get my 13-inch pressing seam roll. Just a second. Let me get the big one here so I can do this 2 at a time. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay. So now, same thing as before. Maintain the fold it up, maintain the integrity of the base shape. I don't want to see white on the outside of the point. I don't want to see green outside of the point. Okay, I'm going to put it on the seam roll, hold it down, and press it. Get myself a nice pretty point there on that corner. I can do 2 at a time now. Remember, if you leave the larger side to be on the top, you have enough room in that fold called turn of cloth to fold it over and have it match. Okay, so this is what you're looking for. You can't see any green out here. Okay, you can't see any white from here. And your sides match up with a nice point right there and down at the corner. That's exactly what you're looking for. Okay. Brenda, you're watching at the vet's office in the parking lot. How fun. Okay. I got too many things here. All right. Okay. Put this over. This is a nice, easy pace on this quilt. Pretty soon you'll be a pro. You'll be whipping out these blocks in no time. All right. So now that I have got these folded over, now I can cut them. You cannot cut them. Don't think now I'm going to go ahead and sew that other one on and then I'll cut them both at the same time later. That's a newbie mistake. I've done that. That's not what you're going to do. So what you want to do is cut it first, because otherwise if you sew on here, you're going to get all this bulk up here in that center seam, and you don't want that. Okay. So I'm going to trim this off. Y'all can save these little pieces to make another quilt if you want. Scrap. I send mine to my local quilt shop. She sells scraps by the pound. So I like that. She's got a little shopping basket down there by the cutting station. And then they sell them by the pound. So another little tip, if you notice, I did the same end of fabric for all of these. There's no hard and fast rule that you have to do that. If you accidentally sew the other end first and the other ones, you know, so for instance, here, let me show you. So I sewed all of these on the one side, right? They're all on one side of the base unit to maintain the base shape. If you have one that now is over here instead of over here, that's fine. It'll just have a seam in the end going overlapping differently. Y'all, that's peanuts. Don't even worry about that. Don't feel like you have to unpick it. There's no point. All right, so now that we've got that done, we're going to sew the rest of our geese units. Okay. Now, when I sew, I talked about the fabric getting pulled down in. I do prefer to sew from the middle to the point. Okay. If you have trouble with your fabric getting pulled down in, you can use a little piece of your fabric. This is a little trick. Lori Holt shows this. And create what's called a leader and an ender. So you can just fold over a piece of fabric. Okay. And you can get started on that. All right. So now you can get right in behind it. That's very commonly done on standard sewing machines. And it's encouraged on featherweights. Very much. Which design by Juju design am I doing? I've got a link to it below. See the more ... Click that. I'd appreciate it if you'd use my links. That helps the channel a whole lot. Y'all give a thumbs up too. It is the Valentine wall hanging. We're going to do that on Thursday, Embroidery Thursday, in the Situation Room at 7 a.m. Central. And we usually run long on Embroidery Thursday, so we can be sure to get stuff done. Okay. This is not right. There we go. Okay. You sew another seam 1/2 inch away. There you go. Yeah, Mad Crafts, that's very common. Yeah, that's a good way to do it too. So what Mad Crafts is talking about is sewing on this line right here, and then 1/2 inch away, sew another line. Okay. Then you cut between the two, and what you end up with is 2 half square triangles. All right. You end up with a half square triangle, not 2, just 1. I'll show you what I mean. This is what she's talking about. All right. Let me cut that. So here's what she's talking about for you folks that are new. So I've got diagonal seam tape on the bed of my machine. I'm going to run this line I just stitched right on the outside line right here. Let me see. She said 1/2 inch. A little bit more. Yeah. Just enough room so both of these pieces have... I can't. I got to measure it. So that both of these pieces will have a 1/4 inch seam. This is how you can make a lot of blocks. Okay. So now I'm going to sew on that line. Okay. And then you can take, now what I'm going to do first, before I do that, I'm going to fold this up. Okay. Make sure it fits. I don't want to cut it first. Maintain the integrity of the base shape. I want that to look exact. Okay. I'm going to press it. Okay. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut between those 2 stitch lines. Okay. And now you have a half square triangle. That's what she's talking about. Very, very commonly done with quilters. Then you press to the dark. This would be, you'd have to size this down to a 2.5 inch square, but you can do a lot with these. Okay. So you would size this down to a 2.5 inch square, half square triangle. Perfect. Yep. Certainly can. But for the purposes of this video, I'm not. And you trim this off. Okay. And I'm going to get these. Okay, rocking along here. That would work for your fancy block. If you get the size right, you would actually have to have, no, fancy uses larger blocks than 2.5, sweetie. There is a way to make half square triangles, like 8 at a time. There's a math thing to that. Okay, these need cut. And this one's been done. This one needs done right here. Okay. All right. Okay. Looking good. Very nice. All right. Let me trim these up. You're not, oh, it's not underneath this video, Ruth. The link for the Valentine project, that is actually under this morning's 7 a.m. Central situation room. I will put the link for the Valentine below when we get finished. I can't edit the description box while I'm live. It won't let me, or I would, but it won't let me do it. Okay. I'd have to get out of the live, go put it in. It's not a good thing. I probably shouldn't even have mentioned it, but it will be there as soon as we finish. I promise. Okay. That one's finished. And let's do this one now. Kaleidoscope, huh? That's what they wanted to call it. There you go, Ruth. She says, I'll go look there. Okay. It's the one I just finished this morning. It's titled Starting the Vintage Christmas. It's a live. Okay. All righty. So now we've got these. So our fabric piece B was, or piece E, okay. We've now got two different, we now have, my apologies, darn old spam. Let me turn my ringer off. Okay. So the original base shape, okay. Perfect. And if I turn it around, it's still perfect. That's what we want. Okay. That's exactly what we want. So now let's go ahead and make our half square triangles. And then we'll put it all together. Okay. So my half square triangles, I need 2. Is that right? Yeah. 2 of fabric. What do we got here? Let's see. 2 of fabric C and 2 of fabric A. Okay. Yeah. Now we're going to do this method on making half square triangles here. So the method they tell you to do is to draw a line down the center to make these 2 at a time half square triangles. They want you to draw a line down the center. Let me show you. And sew 1/4 inch away from each side. I don't like that method because 1/4 inch away is subjective and very inaccurate. Okay, so this is what they want you to do. They want you to draw a line from corner to corner. And we already know that that's not actually corner to corner because the ruler is, so the line is not. And then they want you to sew down either side of that line, which sounds good, but is not. So I'm going to erase my lines with my iron. What I like to use is called, this is by Creative Grids, and it is called a 1/4 inch seam guide. And I love this. I have different sizes of them. Okay. Thank you, Nancy. She says she loves my tutorials. I appreciate that. All right. So this 1/4 inch seam guide, the idea behind this is that you put the center of the seam guide corner. Let me use my gray mat so you can see, because this is white on white and it's hard to see. There we go. So now I'm going to put my seam guide corner to corner, the center of it. It has little lines, or you can put the little points between the little gaps. This is as far as I'm concerned, this is an indispensable ruler when you're quilting. To me, this is as indispensable as cutting a major, when you're doing your fabrics. Okay. When you're cutting your fabrics in the beginning, indispensable. Hold it tight. Draw the line. This is your sew line. Okay. This is the line you're going to sew on. Right. That's way more accurate than guessing and attempting to try to keep your foot 1/4 inch away from the center. Okay. Way more accurate. That's not my opinion. I'm going to tell you, that's not my opinion. This ruler is so indispensable. I have many. I have this. This is the 9-inch, I believe, which is very handy. And then I have, oh, I don't know, a big long one for larger squares. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to get 2 of the correct size of half square triangles. Okay. How can you do this without the 1/2-inch ruler? Elizabeth, good question. Let me show you. Okay, I'm going to erase. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to use a ruler, and you're going to go ahead and put the ruler corner to corner. You can put it a smidge off to see if you can't get your center line corner to corner actually. Okay. I'm going to do that. So now I've got a line corner to corner. And then I'm just going to move my ruler over 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to put the 1/4 inch mark directly on top of that line. And I'm going to make my sew line right here. You can use a different color if you want. Okay. And again, 1/4 of an inch away. Y'all, if you don't have a rotary mat, use a mat on a mat. Okay. So let's say this is if you don't have a rotary mat, you can just put a little mat, do it on a mat. All right. And you can just do this. So you don't have to go to the expense of a rotary mat if you don't want to, or, don't care to do that or whatever. You don't have to. What you end up with is 3 lines instead of 2, but that's fine. Just sew on the outside line now. You're welcome, Elizabeth. Okay. Debbie gave all your quilting buddies one of those rulers. I want to be one of your quilting buddies. Oh, I am your quilting buddy. Love it. Okay. So lots of ways around things, you guys, to, you don't have to break the bank doing this. All right. So now, again, we're going to maintain the integrity of the base shape. The base shape is our color. Okay. We're going to put this on here, right sides together. You can pin if you want. You don't have to. You pin out here if you want to, but you don't have to. So I'm going to stitch on the outside line, hold these together. Okay. Ooh, I hope my bobbin lasts, y'all. Oh my goodness. What am I doing? I put my last bobbin in a couple of days ago. I hope it lasts. I'm playing bobbin chicken right now. I'm sure of it. I'm not going to look though, because I don't want it to stress me. Let's all think good, positive things about Becky's bobbin. Okay. I'm going to switch it around and go down the other side. Okay. So on the line. All righty. And what I can do from here, I can just use my rotary cutter. You can use scissors, you use whatever you want. And I'm going to go up the center and freehand this. If that makes you nervous, use your scissors, use a ruler, do whatever you want. Okay. And I need to get these apart. Cut those threads. All right, so now we have 4 half square triangles. Ta-da! And you want to press to the dark. You're going to press it to the darker fabric, which means on your seam allowance, you're going to press your seam allowance to the dark. The easiest way to do that, thank you so much for your sticker, Helen. You're so very thoughtful. I appreciate that. Now I have you stress it. Don't stress. Oh, about your bobbin? That's okay. All right. So the easiest way to press to the dark is to put your dark fabric on top. Okay. That's the easiest way. Just press that over. You don't have to think about it if you put your dark fabric on top. Oh, these are still together. That didn't work. Oops. Oops, oops, oops. Didn't get all the way through. Okay. And Now on these, we don't have an integrity of the base shape to maintain, right? So you want to be sure to get as clean of a fold and press on that seam line as possible, because you need as much fabric as possible available to trim it down so that it's the right size. And you don't want to have any kind of hidden fabric in a tuck or a fold on that seam line. Okay. So I like to press it with my fingers and get it open really far. And you are pressing on the bias. So beware. No steam, y'all. Your blocks will go way wonky. No steam. Okay. Okay. There we go. So there's all 4 of them. Now we need to make these into 3.5 inch half square triangles. So again, a couple of different ways you can do it. There are all kinds. Where did I buy my rotary mat? Louisa, this is from not Creative Grids. This is So Tights. This mat has a piece of metal in it. Okay. It's by So Tights. I have a link below for 15% off if you are interested in getting one of these. I'll tell you what, this is the best rotary mat in the industry. I have my share of them. And I will tell you, the ball bearings in this, listen, what makes you nervous is watching the round rotating mat move as I cut. Is there a way to prevent that? Well, I guess, I don't know. Oh, that it wiggles? Yeah, you'll get used to it. So this particular ruler that goes with it, these little metal things in here are magnets, and it snaps to, and it doesn't like to move. So we are going to make half square triangles. There are half square triangle rulers you can make. You can use a square that's got a line that has the 45-degree line on it. You can use a square up ruler that is exactly 3.5. This is from Creative Notions Quilt Shop. I sprayed it with Grippy so it doesn't slide around. So there's all different kinds of things. Lots and lots. There are also, you can do these. These are something else you can use. These are called Tucker trimmers. These are very, very good. These are designed to cut. What did I do with that half square triangle I sewed? So if I wanted to make this into a 2.5 inch half square triangle, let me flatten it out. The Tucker trimmer, y'all, quilters swear by these Tucker trimmers too. I broke mine. Look at that. These are flimsy. This one's not flimsy. This is much thicker than this. So I broke mine. So this cuts full HST full inch. So this cuts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 HSTs, half square triangle. This cuts on the half. So if I wanted to sew a 2.5 inch half square triangle, and I put little sand gripper dots on the back of that, what you do is you just put the dotted line. There's the seam allowance in the gray. Can you see that? The seam allowance is in the gray. Okay. So you put the dotted line on the stitch line on your triangle. See how it's not folded open. Okay. So you do that. Okay. And you do this. You definitely need a rotating mat to do this. And then you're supposed to take your blade and cut off those little dog ears. All right. And you get a perfect 2.5 inch half square triangle. Okay. Quilters swear by these things. I don't have a link below, but I will put one when we get finished. So let me set these up here to make myself a note. Okay. So if you're going to use, like I'm doing, a full ruler, okay. If you're going to use specific size, you just want to make sure that you get the diagonal 45 line on the diagonal 45 on the ruler. Y'all, I'm sitting down. You can see you can sit down when you do these. Making sure I've got to the fabric edge all the way around. Okay. and then you cut. And you will end up cutting off your dog ears at the same time. I usually do a little saw thing. Make sure I get all the way down there. Notice my fingers are nowhere near the edge. Okay. And there is my perfect 3.5 inch half square triangle. Okay. You can do that. If you don't have one of these, so you don't have to go broke. You only need a few basic tools. Okay. This is a rotating. Yeah, block lock rulers are great too. I've got those. Now, you want to talk about an investment, block locks. I have one. Where is it? We've got creative grids. Here's another ruler you can use for this. On the fold. Same idea as the Tucker trimmer. Same idea. Okay. A block lock. Where is it? Yeah. So, block lock rulers. There is, hold on, before I go anywhere, let me do this. So I'm just going to make sure the 45 here in the middle is on the 45 here. Okay. And I need to get this just right. And what I'm looking for is to make sure that I can see. So here's my 3.5 inch mark here. Let me get you in here. This is a little bit more difficult, but this is, okay. So, because of the magnet, this thing does not want to move around. But what I'm doing is I'm making sure I've got a smidge, I mean a smidge of fabric on the outside of the edge down here, outside of the 3.5 lines in here, and outside here, just a smidge, couple of threads. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to trim this and I'm going to trim this. All right. I can lift it up. Okay. Now this side, these two edges I know are exact because I just trimmed them. Okay. So now I want those two edges exactly, because I trimmed them to 3.5. I want these two edges recently trimmed exactly on the 3.5 inch line here and here with the 45 on the diagonal. So now the scrubby ends are to the outside. So the first thing you do is you make sure you've got just a hair around all 4 sides. And on your second cut, you make sure that those sides you just cut are exactly on that 3.5 inch line, and you cut like this. Okay. And so what you end up with is an exact 3.5 inch square triangle. That's how you use that. The 15% is a code that you put at checkout, Louisa. It's a code you put at checkout. Okay. The link, it's in Shop My Affiliates, I think. Okay. And it'll say Sew Tights, SEWTITES. So anyway, all different methods to cut. So let me show you how to use this ruler. This is a Creative Grids. Again, you would do it on the fold, just like the Tucker trimmer. Okay. I want it to be 3.5. So I'm going to put on the line. Nope, that's wrong. Wrong ruler. What am I doing? Wrong ruler. Wrong ruler. Wrong ruler. That's not it. What is this? This is the folded corner clipper. I'm doing this wrong. These are hard. All right, let's talk about block locks. So block locks have a groove inside of them right here. I can feel there's like a, get right up in there. Let's see if it'll focus. I don't know if it'll focus. That's a groove cut into the acrylic. Okay. And the idea is that you can put this right on, right? Gosh, I use these all the time and they always mess with my head. So yeah. Is that right? No, doing it wrong. Anyway, They work fantastic when you gave it. You did this same demonstration, Debbie. Y'all, I have to think about how these work. I have to think about how they work. I'm doing this wrong. Anyway, the problem with these is that they like this one's only for a finished 2x4 block. That's the problem with these. So they're one piece of acrylic for one size. The other problem with these is that they're over $25 a piece. So there's that. So that's why I stick to something like this usually. You know, I can put this on here. I can eyeball it pretty well. And it works. And that's why I'm not savvy with those other rulers. I have them. I just don't use them a lot. Because, so on this one, you just make sure you've got a little bit all around the outsides on all four sides. Okay. Just as easy. You guys don't have to break the bank. Okay. When I am making a gazillion of these blocks, I will use block locks, Tucker trimmers, the whole 9 yards. I will use those. Okay. Sometimes I have to look at the instructions to make sure I'm doing them right. Because I get my brain turned around. That never happens to you, right? It only happens to me. Okay. And if y'all want to see how to use those things, you can go out on YouTube and say, how do I use a block lock ruler? How do I use a Tucker trimmer? There are all kinds of videos on how to do that. I'm old school. Doesn't that grippy work well? I like that. Okay. Easy peasy to me. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okie doke. So now we're ready to put this together. We've got all of our block parts made, which is good. And we're ready to do some sewing here. Okay. So let's go ahead and get this lined up so we can see how it's going to look. Okay. Goes here. Our flying geese go, let's see, white points to the inside. Okay. This is how this goes. If I had a big design board, you'd see it. White points to the inside. There we go. And then these, we have the color on our half square triangles to the inside. So it's going to look like this. How pretty. I made mine the same fabric. Little continuity. That my brain likes that. Very nice. Okay. And I will put the link directly below the video when I finish here. So I've got some homework when I get done with y'all. All right. So I want to take 2 of these flying geese units and I'm going to sew my half square triangles to either end of 2 of these. All right. Y'all will love Sew Tights. Oh my gosh. I use their stuff a lot. Okay. So my points are to the inside. Right. I'm going to make sure I want the colored touching down here at the bottom. Not like this up here at the top. Okay. I want it like that. That's how that's going to go. And I'm going to do 2 of them like that. Okay. All right. So if you lay them out, did I put the design board away? I did. Okay. So measure up my edges, maintain the integrity of the base shape here. I don't want to have it hanging over the top. I don't want to be able to see the other piece over the top on either edge. Okay. And I'm going to sew, whoop, a 1/4 inch seam. Right? Like that. Most blocks, by the time you get to this point, all you're doing is you are putting together a chain, a 9 patch, essentially. By the time you get to this point, okay, put that like that. Maintain the integrity of the base shape. Line those up. This, line this up. Keith's in there talking to Burrito. Can hear him. All right. So there we go. That looks good. So I've got a nice 1/4 inch seam down there at the bottom that I can hit when I go to put those 3 rows together. See that? Okay. All right. Thank you for being here, Karen. Enjoy your day, sweetheart. I'm tired fixing up blocks and flying geese rulers. Yeah, I know. I know. It's okay. I love it though. I love this. I'd rather be doing this than just about anything. Keith is starting to call me a homebody. He's like, you never leave the house. Well, no, why should I? Right? Just go to the grocery store, pick up my groceries. So the book tells us to fold. Which way do these get folded? They don't tell us which way these get folded. So I normally, when I'm doing this, I will fold row number 1 to the outside so that my seam allowances on both of these are folded to the outside squares. If it doesn't tell you, you can do whatever works best for you. Most pattern books will have a little arrow to tell you which way they want you to press your seam allowances. So if they don't, as a rule, row number 1, odd number rows 1 and 3, seam allowances to the outside, even number rows, seam allowances to the middle. Okay, so there's those 2. All right, now this, okay, we're going to sew like this and like this with the white points to the inside. Okay. Now, look here. So we've got a 1/4 inch seam we need to hit right here. I got a 1/4 inch seam I need to hit right there on that point. This one doesn't have a 1/4 inch seam. So don't sew blind. I'm going to sew it from this direction like this. Okay. And one of the things you can do for accuracy when you first get started, you want to hit that crisscross, but you can put a pin through and mark the exact center point so that you don't tip it if you want. Let me see. And this is the way I do this a lot, you guys, because I don't want to sew it twice. Sometimes I can't find it. I go in from the front, okay? And then I will take my little friction marker and I will mark exactly where that pin is, just like that. Okay. And then put these together. And I'm going to pin my bottom edges so that the bottom fabric does not get pulled faster than the front, than the top under the feed dogs. Okay. I want to make sure to stitch right over that mark. Okay. Pull the pin. Let's see. Ta-da. See that? It's exactly what you want. Are you having a great time? I'm having a great time. I don't know about y'all. I'm having a ball. All right. All right, again. Mark the point where I need to go through. This is how I got so much better at that happy dance block, was I did this process right here, this particular technique. Okay. Don't sew blind. I'm gonna pin. Whoop. these together. Okay. And I'm going to sew and make sure I hit that blue dot. I want you to look. I've got fabric out here, okay, because I hit that dot. That's okay. If you have to go in a little bit to hit the dot, that's fine. Just make sure your 1/4 inch is right on the ends and the outside edges of your block, okay? So you don't do a sharp thing. You do a really gradual get back to it kind of deal, because you can fix that. Yeah. You can fix that. That's okay. I hit it. Okay. All right. I'm gonna, now remember I said I ironed to the inside on row 2. So I'm going to put the inside up and fold it over. You know what? I went too far. I tipped that. So when I went too far and I tipped it, what I'm going to do is go back. I shouldn't have stitched that far away from that. I'm going to stitch it first. Get it right. Start where it's right, fix it, end where it's right. And then you can take a seam ripper and go back and get those threads. Don't unpick the whole 9 yards. Okay, you don't need to do that. Just undo those stitches that are giving you grief. There we go. That's better. Easy fix. See? Easy fix. Okay. All right, and then fold this up and over. Easy peasy. Same on this one. Fold this up, flip it over. Okay. I usually use that technique. It comes out pretty good. Sometimes it doesn't. You can fix it, no problem. Okay. All right. So now I'm ready to sew my 3 rows together. Okay. Points to the middle. You want these colors matching right here. Okay. And now, because I've pressed these all different directions, I'm going to naturally have nested seams. All right. I'm a little shy on this particular 1/4 inch right here. A little bit shy. See that? Not a big deal. Not going to tear it out. It's crazy. So I'm going to match up. I'm going to nest these, push them together and nest them. And I'm going to match up my little points. Okay. And then I'm going to pin on the diagonal from the lower to the top in one side of the seam allowance and out the other. Okay. Same on this side. Put them together, nest them up, match the points. I'm opening that up and peeking down in there to get my points matched up and nesting. In one side of the seam allowance, out the other on the diagonal. I'm going to pin this together down at the bottom. Okay. That should work. Line up these edges so they're straight. I want to hit that X where those seams cross. I had another seam we just went over. I hope I hit it right. I got a bubble here. I got a bubble. See that bubble? That's no good. So, pulling that out, pinning it back. I'm going to get these, flipped it over, get going. Now I'm going to, I need a stiletto. I don't have, do I have a case stiletto here? I do. Let me see. Ow! I just stabbed myself with it. Yeah, it's here. Okay. There we go. Okay. And cross over those stitches that I just did. All right, how'd we do? Ooh, that's pretty. Okay. That looks pretty good. Pretty good, pretty good. And I hit that one just fine, right? Yep. And this one, I'll take it. Boom. Okay. You stabbed yourself already a dozen times today, Bernadette. So this one. Okay. So I'm going to press these out. Make sure everybody's going the way they're supposed to. We don't need any kind of drama. I don't need any individualism here in my seam. We are practicing group think, right? I need my fabric to practice group think. Okay. Pretty. Oh yeah, that looks nice. Very nice, very nice, very nice. And the next one. Okay. Nest these. And peek and get my points together. Nested nicely. I don't want to feel any edges overlapping each other on that nest. And then here, just like this one, nest them, get my points in the same spot. I wish I could show you guys that from my angle, but I can't. Okay. And then pin these so they don't go wonky. All right. You can, if you want, you can. Okay. Come in here. That's going to be a good 1/4 inch seam there. Now I can put this through. Okay. And then you can mark it. You can do that if you want. I'm going to live on the edge. Straighten up my top seam there. I need to hit that. That's kind of wide. We shall see. Ooh, I hope it's right. I don't want to redo it. Okay. Money, y'all. Woo! I'll take it. I will take it. Let me press that out so you can see it. Okay. All right. Can you believe it? We are 4 weeks in already to the Brightly Sampler and moving right along. This is great. We're going to be wrapping this up in May. And so you will have it done in time for a beautiful summer quilt. It'll be nice. Oh, that turned out just lovely. I like it. I like it. I like it very much. Like it very, very much. So I love it. All right. This has been good. How about that? We're about an hour and a half talking through it. It takes me about 30 minutes when I'm not talking to you guys and explaining about rulers and this and that. So anyway, this turned out just beautiful. I love it. This is the Kaleidoscope block 4 on our Brightly Sampler quilt. This is going along great. Love it. And while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and do another companion quilt block to this. So there. I hope you enjoyed this, you guys. You are always welcome here with me in my sewing room. I really appreciate you coming and stopping by. And be sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe. Don't forget, for my 80,000 subscribers, giving away the Sew Tights rotary mat and companion magnetic 6.5-inch ruler. Hopefully, as you're doing your sewing, if something goes wonky, you go, wait a minute, what did she say to do? Sometimes it works. Usually it works. Sometimes it doesn't. So that is the nature of the beast, right? All right, y'all, this has been so much fun. Thank you for spending your time with me. See you tomorrow morning in the Situation Room. I'm going to put some links below to those things that I was talking about so you guys can find them, all right? We'll talk to you soon. You guys go sew something. Bye.